Yeah, nice to meet you, Frank.
Yeah,
Thanks for taking the time to do this interview. I really appreciate it.
no worries, bro. There we go.
So like the first question I wanted to ask you is, how's quarantine life been since this Corona thing happens? How's life been for you in Guam?
Well, back on Guam, it was it forced me and my family to kind of do the things that we've always wanted to do and just kind of stay home and spend time with each other.
Yeah.
Uh, we caught up with a lot of house projects and yard projects, and since I was being stuck at home, I was like, maybe I can learn some carpentry or some other stuff. So I got a bunch of pallets and was just making a bunch of like furniture. Me and my boys a tree fort. So that was super. Um, and got to train, by myself a whole lot, bag work and shadow boxing, watching a lot of footage. So, that was also nice, and just very blessed, man, to be stuck at home on Guam with the conditions that we had. There's a lot of people that are suffering and a lot more than others. And we're very blessed to, be stuck at home the way that we were.
Nice, nice. And you said that recently you went to the States. You just got off a flight a couple of days ago. I just wanted to ask, why come to the States so early? Was there a reason for that?
Well, I usually do my camps with Team Oyama or in Irvine, California. So I'm out here just kind of tightening up on some stuff, getting ready for the next fight. I have 4 weeks, so we're doing 1 week here in Irvine, and then tomorrow I actually leave for Vegas.
Hmm. And I know that you're like a modern day gladiator because I watched you fight live at, I believe it was UFC 240 228s, and then you just in the middle of a fight you just screamed at
Oh,
Jeff Hill.
uh, the Jeff Neal fight, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that was a crazy fight, man.
it didn't end up the way that I wanted to, but yeah, that was a wild fight. That guy was good.
Yeah, yeah, it was absolutely like crazy watching that fight live.
Wow,
But
you live? That's so dope.
yeah, yeah, that was actually my first UFC card I went to. But yeah, 228 was like beyond awesome.
Wow, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that. Awesome.
And was there any hesitation taking a fight, on short notice, or are you just ready to get back in there?
I got the message from my manager, Jason House from Meridian Sports Agency,
Mhm.
and Coach Colin. We got offered this fight, Matt Frevola, in June 20th. It just happened to be that I'm in really good shape. My cardio is really good, and it was a perfect timing. If anything, it's what a blessing to be able to do your job and get get back into the sport and get back into your career, especially during these times. A lot of people are out of jobs. A lot of people are suffering, and with this opportunity, it's great.
Yeah, and Matt Frevola, he's known for putting on like five to nights, and you are too. What are the odds of you guys putting on the five to night come June 20th?
Uh, I'm sure he and I don't really plan on doing on we don't really plan on fight of the nights, but I guess our styles just kind of, we're trying to freaking
Yeah.
beat each other up. He has a very exciting style and with a big gas tank, which makes it even better for exciting fights. I'm trying to get in your face and I'm trying to win fights and try to like, finish you. I love finishes. I don't like going to the judges. It's
Hmm.
gonna be an exciting fight, and I'm just so stoked that we get to share the cage together.
Yeah, and what do you think of him as an opponent? Like, is there any like holes that you might see in his game that you're working on the game plan?
Um, watch actually before this conversation, I was just watching some of his fights. He doesn't have or I feel like he's not like a precision striker or like an Olympic level wrestler or like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt caliber, but he's really really good at putting it all together. So I just gotta go in there and do my thing and like what I always do, just make it a fight, you know?
Yeah. And after that fight, after this upcoming fight, looking at the lightweight division, it's arguably the most stacked division in the UFC right now, and there's plenty of opponents. But is there anybody that you have an eye on, and hope to one day fighting?
Um, there's a lot of guys. There's so much guys on the roster that could be a really great fight for me, stylistically, right? And fight for the fans. Right now, honestly, I'm with that last loss with Beneil Dariush. I'm just really focusing on getting this W. And yeah, I'm not too sure. There's a lot of guys in the division. The matchmakers can easily find someone for me that's going to be an exciting fight, just like this one. I never really thought of fighting Matt Frevola, but now, as a fan looking for the outside in, it's like, wow, this is a great fight.
Yeah, for sure, man. I know you guys aren't necessarily planning on fighting tonight, but I could bet my bottom dollar that this one's gonna be a banger.
Oh man, now I'm getting ready to be like, oh, my head's gonna be sore, my body's gonna be sore, but I know he's a grinder, and he doesn't quit, and we are both the type of fighters that you have to stop us you have to put us out, to win these fights. So it's gonna be like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, So it's just gonna be like, oh gosh, so I'm preparing for that.
Yeah, that gives me chills, man. I can't wait for that fight.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And will that fight be at the Apex, do you think?
Yes, it's scheduled to be at the Apex Center on June 20th.
Got it. And this is a way different fight. If there being no audience, do you think that's gonna affect you at all? Because I know if some other fighters, they don't like fighting with no audience. But to you, do you see any difference in fighting with a crowd and without a crowd?
100%. I would be lying if I told you that it wouldn't make a difference. Man, when the crowd roars and you're in there and you're throwing combinations, sometimes you're really engulfed in that environment. Man, you have 15,000 people yelling. You can't help it but react. It's either gonna make you or break you, or you're gonna either throw punches or you're gonna move. You can't hear your corner. You can hear their corner. So there's a lot of factors going on. It's gonna be very interesting for this fight coming up, having no crowd and being able to hear the corners, able to hear him breathing, able to hear myself breathing. I'm glad that he's not a talker in the fights, nor am I. For fighting like a Nate Diaz or like, yeah, what the fuck, dog? It's like, oh shit, it's gonna be I'm just very excited that it's gonna be a different environment, and I'm kind of curious to see how it's gonna be.
Yeah, and with the crowd involvement, do you think the crowd involvement, kind of just hypes you up to fight like a little bit more, a little bit harder? Because you have a very entertaining style, but with the audience, do you think that's helped you perform better in your fights?
Man, for sure. Better or worse, man, I'm not too sure, but it definitely has an influence. Like I said, 15,000 people roaring in a stadium, 8,000 people roaring in a stadium. You can't help but just rise to the occasion or break. And lately, if you see all my fights, I just keep coming. I would be lying to you if it never made a difference.
Mm-hmm. And going back to your UFC debut, to even the start of your MMA career, what kind of helped you? What helps inspire your move to MMA? Was there a certain fighter or a certain event that made you transition into MMA?
Oh, like how I got into MMA?
Yeah.
Dude, crazy story. When I was 15, when I was 14, 15, and I was going from middle school to high school, I wanted to lose weight. And so I played golf my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy dreams, right? But I wanted to lose weight. I was going into high school. I was going to meet new people, meet some girls, whatever it was. I was kind of heavy. I was a heavy set kid, never really played any sports. And there were these guys that were doing this thing called NHB at the time. It's called No Holds Barred. And they just started training, and I went into the gym. I hated running. There's no way I was gonna get in shape by running.
Mm-hmm.
Boring at the time, but now I have to do it. So I started and I started beat up for months and for months, but for some reason I just kept coming back. I don't know if it was the competitive nature in me or just loved the aspect of martial arts, and I just kept getting better, kept getting better. A year later, I took a fight when I was 16. I took a fight and never looked back. I was like, wow, I'm going to dedicate my life to this thing. And that's what I've been doing since. Here I am, 31 years old, still chasing the dream.
Yeah. And looking at your career, is there like a certain fight that stands out to you? Maybe like what's the funnest fight you've been in?
Oh, gosh. If you look at all my fights, a lot of crazy fights.
Because I watched the Damian Brown one live, I believe, and I think it was like one of the greatest fights of. I'm not sure what year it was in, maybe 2017, 2018. But that was a fun fight.
Yeah, that was a really fun fight. And Damian Brown and I were like buddies, because of that, man. We shed blood together and we put it all together. And you really have this special relationship with someone that you just leave it all on the line, like the way that we did. Damian Brown was a really good fight. Of course, my UFC debut, because finally making it to the UFC, that was very special. My fight was great. If anything that was memorable, it was the fight right before Li Jingliang in the UFC. I fought a guy named Yoon Park or something like that, from a Korean guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a tough fight. I did the bare minimum for that camp, and I ended up getting the W. I got the win. Then the week later, we got the call to the UFC. So everything leading up to that was just very memorable.
Yeah, and the last question I had. Oh, sorry. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so the last question I had for you, how did you get the nickname the Crank? Was it like because of a neck crank, or what's the story behind that?
Oh man, I hate to end the interview like this, but it's
Or we
nothing.
could go another question if you want.
No, it's like it's not so special. So what happened was my very first fight, I didn't want any nicknames. I just wanted to be Frank Camacho. The announcer, I was the last fight, so the announcer was a little tipsy toward the end. It was kind of like it was in a warehouse, Cookie Alvarez, my coach, my first coach and training partner, and my mentor. He was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna say something that rhymes with Frank. So it was Frank the Crank Camacho. And then after the fight, I actually won. I won my first fight. And then after the fight, everyone was just coming up to me, Crank, good job, man, good fight. And I was like, oh snap, all right, okay. So then it just kind of stuck with me, and I don't have any. I guess I need to make a Crank move just so that I can really live up to the name. But yeah, nothing real special, man. But it's stuck with me since. And hey, crank it up.
Crank it up, nice. And since you didn't want to end it on that question, I got another one for you. So like, we're MMA islands, and like I'm based in Texas, so like
Yeah.
I'm not really from the islands, but you're from Guam. What's the best thing about living on an island such as Guam?
Well, okay, there's a lot of things. Aside from the weather, it's about like 85 degrees all year. The beach, and anywhere, any part. So the island's about like 30 miles long, 9 miles wide. Any part you are in the island, the beach is about 15 minutes away. Family, friends, just island living, killer sunsets every day, so we're just really blessed. And I hope people that watch this, when everything calms down with this whole COVID thing, dude, check us out. Come to the Mariana Islands, so we're a chain of 14 islands, and Guam. So we're really blessed to be where we're living and where we're from.
Nice, man. And I just love that lifestyle, just being surrounded by friends and family, and
Yeah.
like waking up and going to the beach every day. That sounds like my sort of lifestyle that I want to live.
Yeah,
So
you got
yeah,
bro. You gotta come by, man. It's a U.S. territory, so it's not it's nothing too crazy. You come in, yeah.
yeah, sounds like a great plan, man. Well, thanks, Frank. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that you crank it up in your next fight.
Thank you. That's the plan, bro. That's the plan. And hey, for everyone watching, man, please check me out on all of my social media, Frank the Crank, frankthecrank.com. And yeah, shoot me a message of anything, bro. And I appreciate you for having me on the show, and thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. We'll hope to get you on the show later, maybe this year, before your fight, hopefully.
Okay, for sure. Sounds good. Just message me.
Got it. Have a good night, man.
Hey, take care. Take care. Shoot.